Excuse the sarcasm to open up this video, but oh my goodness, what an incredible game! A 10-1 victory for Team USA over Kazakhstan. Wow, we probably saw so many points scored by a lot of these American players, including Anaheim Ducks superstar forward Trevor Zegras, right? We probably saw him go off in a game where Team USA destroys the competition 10-1. Well, let's go out there and see what happened here. The scoring is listed on the sidebar. In the first period, you had Matt Boldy, assisted by Brock Nelson and Luke Hughes. Okay, great. The young Americans getting it to work with some veteran help from Brock Nelson. Second goal, 2-0, Brady Tkachuk from Werenski and Johnny Gaudreau. Third goal, Brock Nelson from Jake Sanderson and Matt Boldy. So there you go, Boldy and Nelson really getting it together. Lots of chemistry over there. Brady Tkachuk then got his second goal, also assisted by Zach Werenski and Johnny Gaudreau. So 2 points in the first period for Brady, Werenski, and Johnny. Second period gets underway. Gavin Brindley. Okay, you got some NCAA action in here. Assisted by Luke Cunnin and Matthew Kessel. You had yourselves what was the 6-0 goal. Matt Boldy from Gaudreau and Tkachuk. Luke Cunnin struck himself, Matt Boldy and Zach Werenski with the assists. And then in the third period, you had Brady Tkachuk, assisted by Matt Boldy and Johnny Gaudreau. Kevin Hayes, assisted by Jeff Petrie. And then finally, Team Kazakhstan gets themselves a goal. Alikan Omirbekov, assisted by Artyom Korolikov and Roman Starchenko. Before Johnny Gaudreau scored the 10th American goal of the game, Gaudreau from Matt Boldy, and that is all she wrote. If you look at the statistics, okay, great. You take a look at some of the numbers. USA had some crazy point production. You had Matt Boldy with 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points. Johnny Gaudreau, a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. Brady Tkachuk had a hat trick and 4 points. But a bunch of these guys ended up scoring nothing. Cole Caulfield was one of them, 0 points from the young Canadian. But you also had Trevor Zegras go out there and score 0 points in the entire game. Now, if you go over to Z and his entire profile, this is kind of where this video is heading down, because when it comes to Zegras at the World Championships so far, the guy has 2 points, in 6 games played. He had scored a goal in the opening game against Germany, and then he got an assist against Slovakia, but that was it. 0 points in games against France, Poland, and Kazakhstan, all with around 15 minutes of time on ice. He had 16, 14, and then 15, so average it out to 15. With this in mind, we had ourselves some Anaheim Ducks fans go out there and talk about whether or not this is actually concerning. Take a look at this post made by Los Patos 22 from the Anaheim Ducks subreddit yesterday. Trevor Zegras at the World Championships. USA has just beaten Kazakhstan 10-1, and Trevor Zegras went another game without a single point. Zegras has only accumulated 1 goal and 1 assist in 6 games. I've watched the games and wouldn't say Zegras looks uncomfortable, but his play can be described as uninspiring. I was hoping this tournament would show his NHL season was a fluke, but it's doing the opposite and exposing his limitations. I know most fans will say it's not a big deal, but does anyone else feel concerned? This post has a 68% upvote ratio on the Anaheim Ducks sub, which means that, there are some Anaheim fans that do think that this is worth talking about. That the numbers that we are seeing out of Trevor Zegras are a point of concern, where it's like, yeah, the guy had a bad season, 15 points in 31 games played. We recognize the setbacks that Zegras had. He took all summer to sign the contract that he's on right now, $5.75 million a season till the end of 2026. He didn't have any training camp time. He had to thrust himself into the sea of wolves right away with no extended practice time. So, for Trevor Zegras, the fact that he got off to a slow start, that was not really the most surprising thing in the world, but when you consider everything else that happened, the fact that he had missed time due to injury, how he wasn't really too consistent anyway, this point production metric is the worst he has had in his NHL career. Even his rookie season wasn't this bad. It was slightly better, actually. 13 points in 24 games is just over half a point a game. 15 points in 31 is just underneath. So Zegras literally just had the worst year of his NHL career so far, whilst on the first season of this contract. So heading over to the World Championship, some Anaheim Ducks fans were saying, okay, this could be an opportunity for Zegras to really show that the season he had was not a fluke. And I wanted to go over some of the responses to this idea from the Ducks subreddit as well. It's a bit concerning, Lillerin said, but we also saw Zegras in the last 8 games of the NHL season, and he looked like his normal self there again. I won't worry about the tournament because new line mates and playstyles can throw players off their games. Instead, start getting worried if he's still struggling, say halfway through next season. Now, I like this response. It's a very level-headed and rational idea, but then again, you know, it's tough for hockey fans, especially those of players that people are worried about, to really keep their heads on straight when it comes to small sample sizes like this. Of course, this commenter is saying, please wait until the end or the end of the offseason or halfway through next season. Like, that's going to take a while, so why not overreact to what we're seeing right now out of Trevor Zegras? Also, when it comes to the chemistry thing, I'm not too sure if I buy that personally, just because Trevor Zegras playing with Cole Caulfield and Brady Tkachuk for a moment at the beginning of the tournament was an experiment that we have seen in the past. Caulfield and Z literally were line mates with the NTDP. So it's kind of all over the place. I'd say that the USA team switching things up, I mean, they have all the reason to. They just won 10-1, so this strategy of putting guys with different guys certainly worked out for a bit. But at the same time, Trevor Zegras seems to be on the losing end of that. You also talk about Cole Caulfield. As we had said, he also had 0 points in that game. Shane Pinto had 0 points in that game. Alex Vlasic had 0 points in that game. Okay, he's a defenseman. It's a little bit different. But still, there are guys who did go out there and had not produced anything. It just so happens that 3 of them happen to be only on the forward side. Caulfield, Pinto, and Zegras. So definitely not an ideal situation for him to not produce any points, but let's continue with some of these comments here. The Worlds is always a tough way to measure players. Rink Nor says, Mikko Rantanen played for Finland last year, and he couldn't reach the level you'd usually see him play at in the NHL. You're overseas, in a different time zone, new team, new line, short tournament. I can't comment on Zegras' play since I haven't seen their games, but it's not uncommon for NHL players to go to the Worlds and underperform. And that's a great point. For real, this reply says, everyone should take a look at Ovechkin's World Championship showings over the years. There are years where he's everything he's expected to be, and years in his absolute prime as the best goal scorer in the NHL, where he puts up next to, or in the case of 2011, no points. So, while the World Championship certainly is a fun gauge to acknowledge where a player is in their international play, there are some guys that just do not show up in the tournament, but in a way that we should not really be too alarmed by. Because, I mean, look, there are a whole bunch of guys here who are dominating. I don't think Matt Boldy is going to be one of the top point producers in the NHL next year. Like, he could get 80 points, don't get me wrong, but is he going to be one of the absolute top guys at 2 points a game in the NHL? Probably not. Same thing you could say about Brady Tkachuk, same thing you could definitely say about Johnny Gaudreau, and if you go over to some of these guys who have 0 points, I mean, okay, let's go over to the higher game played guys. Yeah, here. So, okay, there are a bunch of players. Will Smith has played 5 games, 0 points. That's kind of unfortunate. He's a very talented player. Okay, here you go. NHLers, here. Damon Severson, 0 points for Canada. Is he a bad player? Probably not. Okay, he's okay. But, yeah, no, I'm trying to find guys who are good that don't have any points to make this point, but I don't really think I'm finding any. Kevin Hayes, no, that's not a great example. Ryan Leonard, 1 point in the USA squad. Yeah, that's not a great example either. I mean, Joel Farabee only has an assist. He's a lot better than that, I'd say. So you could definitely say there are some guys that have not been pulling their weight and whose numbers don't really represent how good they are in reality. Trevor Zegras certainly is one of them. Here he is right here. Martin Ferrarvi, Dylan Genther only has 2 points. Yeah, he probably should be getting a lot more. Vincent Rohrer. Huh, interesting. Montreal Canadiens guy. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this idea of Trevor Zegras potentially being worrisome for his lack of production at the World Championships so far. Do you buy this idea? Do you feed into it? Do you think that Anaheim Ducks fans are kind of crazy for bringing it up? At the end of the day, though, there is some concern floating around, which is why I wanted to make this video, and because Trevor Zegras in particular has been such a hot topic because of his potential link to the Montreal Canadiens, I wanted to go out there and explore that in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.